All right, so here I am getting ready to convert a test that I would normally hand out into a Google form that I can have the students complete online. So here on the right side of my screen is the test I would normally print and hand out. It's a quiz on Unit 6. Over here on the left is my Google Drive. I'm logged in as my school email. You can see it there. And then I just go to drive.google.com, and then over here I'm going to click on new, and I'm going down to more, and then I'm going to forms. Clicking on forms, and then I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to just call this Unit 6. And then once I click up here, notice it changes from untitled to Unit 6. So maybe I want to call it Unit 6 Test. So I want to make sure to have this call it that also. So then my first question, I'm going to do boom, name. Short answer required. As you can see, I'm just going to be copying from the right over here. And it could be that maybe I want to mimic these sections. So I'll show you how to do that in a moment. This question I'm just going to, I can literally copy and paste, or I can just reproduce it. Either way is fine. I'm just going to copy and I'm going to paste right there. Now see right here where it says it's worth 2 points. I actually don't want that here. And this is where, and I could have done this earlier, but I want to go up here into the settings. It's either settings or preferences, I forget which, but I'm going to say that this is a quiz. So I want to make it a quiz. And if all of our students used Chromebook, we could tell them not to let the students use other browser tabs while they're taking the test. That's fine. I want to review this test manually because I'm not putting the correct answers in for every question. But I do want the students to be able to see the point values and the correct answers if I do have it in there. So I'm going to leave all that as it is. And while I'm in here, I'm also going to click on this General tab and make sure to unselect this box. That way anyone that I send a link to will be able to view this test. And that is the way I want it, so we're going to go with that. And then another, you'll see now that total points shows up right there. So I also want to go in and make sure that some other settings are correct. Right here under preferences, I want to collect email addresses. And I want every question to be required. So, okay, I've made sure that those are, now your layout will look a little bit different. I've got a split screen here left and right, so you'll see these bars down here, or these options down here on the bottom. If your browser over here is in full screen, then you'll be able to see these over on the top right. But because I've gone split screen, then these are over here formed. So now, now that I've told it this is going to be a test, I can come in here to the answer key, and I can say that I want this to be worth 2 points. And if there were specific requirements, or like if there was a non-objective answer, like what's 2 plus 2, then in here I could say, well, the answer is 4. And then it would automatically grade that for me. So I'm going to say done to that, and I want that to be required. The rest of the ones that I make will be required because I changed the default there. Now here I can change the type of response that it's expecting. So for instance, and it automatically guesses what the type of response is that you would want. So for instance, we'll go ahead and make a question number 2 here. Describe the economic circumstances in post-war America. Copy, paste, and now it says, oh, that's going to be a paragraph 1 also, and then I want that to be worth 2 points. Done with that. I'm going to make another question here. Come down here. Okay. Again, it knows that's going to be a paragraph question, so then 4 points for that. And then common attitude towards it. Okay. Now this one, interesting, it didn't change this. What was a common, see now, because it says what was a common, like rather than how did or describe, it's telling me, hey, do you want to make it a multiple choice? So I could come down here and I could say, they loved them. And then I could say, whoops, what? They ignored them. They persecuted them. And then I don't want other to be there. So now when they view this test, they could select that from a drop down. I'm of course not going to do that. I'm just doing this for demonstration. Now I could say I'm sorry, that won't be a drop down. They'll see all 3 of those and they'll select one of them. Now and then we could also make it a checkbox where we say check all of the following that are correct, or whatever. Or we could and I'll do some of this multiple choice grid stuff later on. But let's say it is a multiple choice, and then I want to put in the answer key here. So which one is the correct answer? Well, the correct answer might be this one. It's not entirely that simple, but yeah, boom, that's the correct answer. So now I see this here. They won't see that there, but this is telling me that I've indicated that this is the correct answer. So when they take the test, it would automatically grade that for me, telling me that they got it correct or not. So I'm going to remove these because that's not how I'm making this test, but I just want you to see that is there. So I need to go into the answer key and change this to 2 points, and I wonder if it will let me. There we go. Okay, done. And then now I should be able to remove that as well, but when I change it to a paragraph, that all goes away anyway, and it still is worth 2 points. Okay, so we're going to move on. Now, I'm kind of excited about this. I want my students to interact with this political cartoon. So my next question is going to be based on an image. So insert image. I just clicked on the image icon there. So I'm going to click on browse. Okay. So there's my image, and it wants an image title. So I'll say and I want to try to keep this as consistent as with my, so I'm going to go back to my split screen. So then I'll say FDR's New Deal programs. Okay, then I'm going to add some questions about it. So then that's when I would just take this right here, paste it in there. And again, we'll make sure that's paragraph and it's worth 6 points. Done. Okay, and then we move on. That one's worth 6 points also. Okay, now list 3 nations that were ally nations. And I wish that it would let me do like a blank that would require 3, but it won't. But it does do a paragraph there, so they'll still get to be able to type in 3. This question here, indicate which of the following had to do with the Pacific theater or the European theater. So on this test, they would just write like Pacific or European, or separate them out into a list or whatever. But in this case, I'm going to do a grid. I'm going to do a checkbox grid. So think of XY axis. There are left row, and then there are column. And so the column, I'm going to do Pacific and European. And then on the row, I'm going to put all these along the row. So row 1 would be that one. Row 2 would be this one. But I see that I don't have a capital I there. Boom, fixed. Don't have a capital T there either. Who proofreads these things? Ah! Okay. So now this is worth 6 points, but when I make the answer key, I'm just going to go ahead and do it here. So each one of these is worth 1 point. And then I'm going to say, well, which one was which? Well, let's see, island hopping, that was Pacific theater. Drop the atomic bomb, that was Pacific theater. Normandy, that was European. Trench warfare was European. The Pacific, they had tunnels. Aircraft carriers were in the Pacific theater primarily, and D-Day was in the European theater. Now, I did all that from memory. Pretty sure that's correct. I'm going to, of course, want to confirm that with my answer key. But for now, we'll just say, yep, there it is. Boom, done. 6 points. Now, when the students take the test, it will automatically grade that portion for me. Yay, efficiency. Okay. Moving on, next question. Okay, answer key. This one is worth 5 points. Is that missing a question mark? Oh, I think it is. Oh, wait. Boom, done. Okay, question mark. Okay. And then this next question. The leader of each of the following countries at the time of the war. Now, I'm going to just keep this as a I could probably do a multiple choice grid, but I don't want to give them the answer. I just want them to know the answer. So I'm going to keep this as a paragraph. And they will know that it's 1 point each, because I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to come in here and say it is worth 4 points. Now here I just have them writing an outline of an essay. Normally I would have them write the essay, but because these tests, I don't have as much time for the students to do the test like we did in class. So just giving them the opportunity to write the outline of what they would do the essay on. And so this is going to be 6 points. Okay, and then finally ending the test with an outline. I'm sorry, not an outline, a timeline. So putting that in here. And because I don't have a whole lot of time, I've made it a little less than it normally would be. So this part is actually going to be a separate question. Okay, and this will be we'll put in all of our so I believe I want to do this as a checkbox grid, like what we did before. So I'm going to do the events along the along the left side. And then, so we've got 5 of them there. Now over here, I'm just going to put numbers, because what I'm asking them to do is arrange them in the chronological order of occurrence. So I'll do 5 because I have 5, and I'll show you what this will look like to them when they take the test. But again, this is one where I can let it do the work for me, and now you see how it would be laid out for them. I'm going to make each one of these worth 2 points, as you see in my original test. So each one of those is worth 2 points. So now, arranging these in order, well, I know that the first was the stock market crash, and normally I would put of 1929, but that kind of gives it away, right? So then after the stock market crashed, FDR was elected as president. And after that, World War II began, and then after that, Pearl Harbor was attacked, and then after that, World War II ended. So now again, I've given it the answers. There we go. And then we're going to make another question here, and this is going to be bonus. And then I'm going to tell them this right here. I'm going to just change the formatting a bit. Notice all of our questions are required. It's been doing that as we go along. So my test is complete. I've got 61 questions or 61 points possible. If I wanted to, I could go in and create sections, like if I wanted to mimic the sections that I have here, 1920s, Hoover, FDR, so on and so forth. Like let's say I wanted to create a section break between here and there. I just select this one and then say section, and then I name the section, and move on. I don't want to do that just because I personally feel like it's not necessary for this test. So. Okay, and then here I'll just say yes and no. And then I want to do another one, and I want to say if yes, or if you answered yes to the above, if you answered no to the above question, please explain. Paragraph. I'm not going to make this one required because it's if. So I want to put this same set of instructions right there. I can view the responses. I can view it by question or by individual. So right now I'm looking at the test that I had Mrs. Meadowcroft do to make sure it worked, and then this is Ben Rice, and this is Sarah Bradshaw, and so on and so forth. So I could look at it, each one of them that way. And like I said, we could also look at each question at a time. This is question number 1, their name, and it's showing all of those there. And then I can grade it here. So for instance, I could go to question number 2, Industrial Revolution, blah, blah, blah. So I could grade this response. I could, okay, I see that this is from Zeke. I could read this and I could say, yep, he got a 5 out of 6 or whatever, and I could grade it right there. So, so using this view is helpful for the grading of it. And when I want to send it to them, I go here, I click on link, and then I like to shorten the link just because I can, and then I'll copy it. And then what I did was just queue up an email, and as soon as the student logged into Zoom, I said, hey, blah, 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 test, boom, here you go, email. Now, and I did that because I told them they could come to class early if they wanted more time. I could just as well load up a group email that's ready to send with this link and all of their email addresses, and as soon as we start class, I hit send, and then, we pray, they open the link, and I'm there to watch them take the test. You could also use this environment to send the email, but for whatever reason, I don't like to do it that way. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.